would you do a roll call, please?
Barber.
Here.
Gonzalez.
Here.
Lee.
Here.
Lilligren.
Here.
Johnson.
Here. And I'll just read probably what is going to be our last, hopefully our last notice to the public. The Metropolitan Council Chair has determined that it's still not practical or prudent to conduct in-person meetings in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. Accordingly, committee members will participate in this meeting via telephone or interactive technology, and the meeting will be conducted under Minnesota Statute Section 13D.021 at a time and date stated, which is April 13th at 2 p.m. today. We encourage you to monitor the meeting remotely, and if you do have questions, we encourage members of the public to email us at public.info@metc.state.mn.us, and we will be sure to respond to comments in a timely manner. So moving on to approval of the agenda. Unless there are changes or edits to the agenda, we can move forward. Does the committee have any changes or additions that they'd like to make to the agenda? Seeing none, then, without objection, the agenda has been approved. Now we'll move on to item 3, which is the approval of the March 23rd Management Committee minutes. We've all gotten a copy of them in advance and have had time to review them. Are there any changes or edits, or is there someone who would like to make a motion to approve those minutes?
Lilligren moves approval.
Moved by Lilligren. And is there a
Second
second?
by Barber. Yeah, second by Barber.
Thank you, Council Members Lilligren and Barber. Again, any discussion or changes, edits? Seeing none, then we'll take a roll call vote on the approval of the minutes.
Barber.
Aye.
Gonzalez.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
Lilligren.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye, and that passes unanimously. Moving through the agenda, we have one non-consent business item, and that is 2022-93, Rapid PCR On-Site COVID Test Kits, Contract 21P385. And we can turn that item over to Marcy Cordes, our Chief Labor Relations Officer. Marcy?
Yes, thank you, Chair and Council members. As you know, the Council recently discontinued what was a fairly comprehensive COVID testing program that relied primarily on saliva test kits. They performed well, but there was a delay in getting results with those particular test kits. We also did have successful pilot programs on rapid PCR testing that were conducted in both the police department and MTS last year. During the Omicron surge in January of this year, the Council decided to go ahead and pursue a solicitation for PCR rapid test kits that could be utilized on a council-wide basis, particularly at Metro Transit and Environmental Services. While our testing programs are currently suspended, and I'm sure that it's everyone's goal and hope that we never have to stand up a mandatory testing program today. Having a contract in place in the future will, if the need does arise, allow department managers to quickly and efficiently implement a new testing program in the event that it's needed in the future. There is no minimum purchase required for the contract that's being proposed today. As part of the January solicitation, 5 bids were received. They ranged from $2 million to about $6 million. Q Health is the lowest responsive and responsible bidder at $2,508,400, and they are recommended for the award today. Under the Thrive Lens analysis, authorization to enter into a contract with Q for rapid PCR on-site COVID test kits supports the Thrive outcome of stewardship by providing these options if they're needed in the future at a low cost. Funding for this item is included in the department's operating budgets. Small business inclusion, the Office of Equity and Equal Opportunity thoroughly reviewed this procurement for DBE opportunities in accordance with applicable federal, state laws and regulations, Upon conclusion of OEEO's research and analysis, no DBE goal was set for this contract. So the proposed action today is that the Metropolitan Council authorize the regional administrator to award and execute a contract with Q Health, Inc. for rapid PCR on-site COVID test kits in the amount not to exceed $2,508,400. This is a contract for 1 year with an option to extend for an additional year. And as I mentioned, we have it available. There is no minimum purchase required for this. And I'm available for questions.
Thank you, Marcy. Are there any questions of the committee right now on this item? Councilmember Lilligren.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Thanks, Marcy, for the report and for the work. I just have a question, and this really hasn't occurred to me before, but just for my own education, please. Marcy, when there is no minimum on a contract, how do we evaluate bids? How do we compare them? Are they all bidding on the same threshold of work? And that's kind of how we figure out who our choice is going to be, or just if we're not required to spend money on this, how do we evaluate the bids?
Madam Chair, Councilmember Lilligren, I'll attempt to answer this, and then if Jody or anyone from procurement is available that may want to add on to my commentary. We basically issued a solicitation that was based on the number of test kits that departments assumed would be needed in the event that we had a mandatory testing program put into place again.
Okay.
So they were responding to a total amount that was specified in the solicitation.
Right. So everyone was responding to that number.
Yes.
That number. Great. Thank you. Thanks, Marcy. Thanks, Jody. I see that you got on as well.
And Jody, did you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, Madam Chair, Council Member Lilligren, the market basket, as Marcy clearly stated, we asked for, we call it a market basket, where we have a indefinite quantity, but a definite price. We call that an IDIQ, where we asked for a price, a firm fixed price on a certain number of tests. So up to 50 tests, but it was really that unit price based on the market basket. But this is definitely a not to exceed contract. So we're only going to be paying for what we actually utilize.
Great.
Oh, thank you. Thanks.
Great question, Councilmember Lilligren. And I see Councilmember Gonzalez is here. Welcome. And you have a question as well.
Yes, thank you. I'm just trying to understand how this works. So basically, we're having a contract with a specific provider to provide a number of test kits and a future date that may or may not happen. Is that correct? Okay.
Madam Chair, Councilmember, yes.
Okay. So if there's no need to do this in 10 years, are we getting that money back, or how's that work?
Who would like
Madam
to-
Chair, Councilmember, I defer to Jody on the mechanics of that again.
Madam Chair, Councilmember Gonzalez, can you just please repeat the question to make
Well,
sure that I understand?
Yeah, because I'm wondering, we're paying $2 million+ up front for something that we may or may not use ever. So I guess I'm thinking why we need to do this in the first place.
So, Madam Chair, Councilmember Gonzalez, we're only paying for tests that we actually utilize or that we order, that we have on hand in inventory or as needed. It's a not to exceed contract, but we definitely do not have to expend that full contract amount. We're just coming forward for approval for the full contract amount in the event we do need it. But this is an as needed contract. So
Okay.
we'll only be ordering the tests that we need, depending on where we're at as we continue to move through the pandemic.
Okay. So in theory, if we don't need any kits, then we won't spend any money?
Yes, Madam Chair,
Okay.
Councilmember Gonzalez, that is correct.
Got it. That's what I was wondering. Thank you very much.
And those are great questions because it's not the typical contract that that we
Mhm.
see. So, but it's good. And I would assume that it's really a good practice, certainly a best practice, because if we don't get in line and have contracts for these things and something should happen, we could find ourselves not like necessarily at the beginning of the pandemic, but there could be again another rush, and we want to be sure that we've got them available. That would be my understanding of how this has been put together. Are there any other questions at this time? All right, seeing none, then we do have a proposed action that Marcy laid out before us, that the Met Council authorized the regional administrator to award and execute contract 21P385 with Q Health for rapid PCR on-site COVID tests in the amount not to exceed $2,508,400 for 1 year, with an option to extend for an additional year. Is there a motion?
So moved by Gonzalez.
Moved by Gonzalez, thank you. Is there a second?
Second by Barber.
And seconded by Barber, thank you very much. Any other discussion on this item? All right, seeing none then, Lori, roll call vote, please.
Barber,
Aye.
Gonzalez,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Lilligren,
Aye.
Johnson.
And aye, and that passes unanimously. So thank you very much. I appreciate the hard work on this. Now, I do believe that somebody on the committee might be making a motion here for a closed session. That would be the next portion of information on the agenda today. Somebody got that ready to go?
I can do it.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I move to close this meeting under section 13D.03, subdivision 1 of the Minnesota statute, so we can consider a labor development and negotiation related to labor strategies.
Thank you, Councilmember Barber. Is there a second? Is there a second?
Second by Gonzalez.
Seconded by Gonzalez. Thank you. All right, just for everyone's information, the governing body of a public employer by majority vote in a public meeting may decide to hold a closed meeting under the provisions of section 13D.03 subdivision 1B of Minnesota statutes. The discussion at a meeting closed under this law must be confined to labor negotiation strategies, developments, and or discussion and renew of labor proposals. The proceedings of a meeting closed under this law will be taped and recorded, preserved for 2 years, and made available to the public as provided by law. Also, I'll just let you know too, ahead of our vote to close this meeting, that we will, let's see,